joining us for our 28-day group detox. My name is Kelsey Height, and I am a lifestyle educator here. I have worked with Dr. John for over a year and a half now, and my background is in public health. I have a master's in public health with a social and behavioral science concentration, and my passion for behavioral health transformation is what led me here, what led me to Dr. John. And Dr. John is the founder of Integrative Wellness and Research Center, where we are having our lovely group detox. And just a little bit for those of you who are new, what we do here, we develop lifestyle strategies to overcome disease and balance. And that's an area of specialty that Dr. John has had longer than I have been alive. So we are a health clinic, and we focus on healthy lifestyle through targeted nutritional support. Some of his areas of specialty include reducing biomarkers for disease and treating acute disease management. We do everything ranging from body composition and helping to optimize your body composition, intestinal function and GI health, hormones, we have a whole host of services that we're able to provide across different health indications. And a little bit about Dr. John, that was a little bit about him, but he's a certified doctor of naturopathy from the Trinity School of Health, and his education list goes longer than we have time to talk about today. And let's see, I think that's, I'm gonna, without further ado, let him come up here and tell you guys about our detox today. Oh, real quick, the summary. We are going to be meeting every Friday around noon. This is going to be a safe space for community and accountability and encouragement and support. And so we're all going to be on this journey together, and we're all very excited for you to join us. We're going to be purging the accumulation of fat and bacteria, yeast, chemicals, heavy metals, detoxifying everything that is that we've been exposed to, whether we are knowing of it or not knowing of it. And yeah, we're excited to cleanse our bodies so that our cells can leap and jump with joy. And that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. John.
Well, good afternoon. How's everyone doing? I just want to make sure everyone received our emails from yesterday that we sent out.
Yes.
Okay. If you didn't, let us know. We'll maybe correct, if we had the wrong email address, we'll correct that here. But so you should have received two types of information. One is a survey form, and by answering those questions, you should have received a score at the bottom, and that tells you your level of toxicity from the specific type of method here. And then it gives you a score. If you scored over a certain number, it tells you that you need to do more of an intensive type of detox, okay? Or if you have a really low score, then just a simple detox cleanse would be very helpful for you. Now, a lot of times, I'm going to be going over different types of detox. Simple can be the same thing except longer duration of time. But also we have another option for people who maybe have been through a lot of different types of detox or fasting types of programs before. And it will take you a little deeper, a little bit more intensive. And I'll go over that too today also. But I just want to ask the question, get to know my audience a little bit better. Has everyone ever been through a detox before? Okay, great. You're in an awesome place. Good. All right. And is anyone, for spiritual reasons or physical reasons, any kind of reasons at all, is anyone ever fasted? What that means is, okay, good. There's different types of fast. There's, you may be restricting a certain food group, or maybe TB or different environment. And there's also a fast where you just drink fluids all day long, whether it's tea, juices, or just water. Has anyone ever been on a fast where they just do liquids only? Okay, good. Okay, okay, great. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about myself, okay? Right out of college, I graduated from the University of Tennessee. And right out of college, I moved here to Memphis, Tennessee, way back a long time ago, okay? But actually, I didn't last very long. I lasted less than a year here, and I decided that I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready, okay? And so what I did is I moved to Nashville for 17 years, okay? I had leaders from all walks of life educating me, mentoring me, praying for me, and equipping me for my future journey and destination, okay? And then finally, after 17 years, Actually, my church just sent me to Memphis, Tennessee to open a clinic here to focus on wellness and promote remedies that were non-toxic type of treatments and remedies to help people with their health. Okay, that's that's why I'm here. Okay, I was sent here, but I would tell you my first fast was in 1994. Okay, and what inspired my fast was one of the books I was reading at that time is by author. His name is Paul Bragg. Okay, and you may have consumed some of his formulas. If you go to Whole Foods, you may see like apple cider vinegar by Paul Bragg or olive oil by Paul Bragg, or different products. Yeah, and so it's probably run by his grandchildren by now. I would say he probably overtook the company. But Paul Bragg was one of the pioneers in fasting that I learned from back in the 90s, to say. And I will tell you that my fasting journey has been very dramatic. Okay, it may not be dramatic for everyone. Okay, and I say that because I don't want to scare you. Okay, or provide fear into your life. Okay, fasting is always a good thing for you. Okay, but so what happened was through my fasting journey, I was able to remove several pounds of we call it fecal plaque or fecal matter in my body. So there was several pounds that came out during my fast. What I mean by that is like on my 5th day of my liquid fast that specific phase. So after 5 days of my liquid fast, I was still having 3 healthy formed bowel movements every day. Okay, and so it's amazing how much accumulation. But actually, the average person is carrying around accumulation of 17 pounds of toxins with them every day. Okay, that's the average person. Sometimes more, sometimes less. It was probably more for me. Okay, but as I started removing the toxins and the fecal plaque, I noticed that my vitality in my body started improving. Okay, but at the same time, I used to work for in college. I co-opted with one of the Ford Motor Company. Actually, I was exposed to a lot of really hazardous chemicals working in a plant environment. Okay, and then also as a small youth, I grew up on a big cotton farm. Then we had cattle. Then we had corn. And I was exposed to a lot of black box chemicals that I was exposed to. So I hit a tipping point in my life where I noticed I was experiencing a lot of brain fog. I didn't have the endurance in my brain like I should have, I felt. And then also I had the chemical sensitivities. If I was following a car in traffic and say inside a person's car they were smoking, I would start having a chemical reaction. From that. I was that sensitive. Then I would break out to rashes, and then also things like that would happen. But what I noticed is when I was exposed to chemicals in a manufacturing plant, it first entered my body through my fingers. Okay, by touching. I was exposed by touching things I shouldn't have touched, I guess. But so when I went through my first fast, my fingers started bubbling up. It had like bubbles that would form on the outside of my skin, and so what that was is it was detoxifying out, it was getting out. That's one experience I had. But actually, during my fast, one morning, I woke up and I went to the restroom, and I sat down on the toilet. I heard this loud sound, and it made a splash sound. Okay, and I couldn't. I had to look. I was very curious on what in the world that could be, And so I looked down, and I couldn't believe it, but it was like a ball the size of almost a baseball. Okay, and it was a green and mossy, and all kind of things were growing out of that ball. Okay, but it was actually like a round ball. Actually, it wasn't deformed or anything like that. It was just a round ball. And all through my life, I had this pain on my right side here. And when that ball, who knows what it was? Tumor, you can call it anything you want. Okay, we'll just call it a ball for right now to say. But when it came out in my rectal area, that all my pain on my right side completely went away. Okay. Wow. And so I'm assuming it was probably lodged in that portion of my colon, I would say. Okay. yeah, kind of right in this area. But at the same time, I had really good support groups. Well, I mean, I was surrounded by other people in my community, and we were doing these fasting programs together, okay? And at that time of my life, my best friend was able to dissolve completely a 3.5-inch brain tumor during the type of fasting that we'll be teaching you, okay? And so I want you to have great expectations for yourself and for others as we're going through this fast. And so I felt like that God has given you mercy, and He's given you a path to heal your body and also teach it to others. And I'd like for us to lay down any excuse that we may have and embrace our fast. Okay. And so this is something that I can send to you, but it's a poem. I would like for you to read it to you. Okay. And this poem is directly out of a book. I just showed it to you, The Miracle of Fasting by Paul Bray. And so this is why I noticed that it, a lot of things happens in our dreams, in our nighttime, and when we're asleep. And it's good to, I call it, prepare our mind for that resting time. To let God restore our body, per se. And so I find it very helpful if I'm reading this at nighttime, right before bed. So basically, the poem goes is slow me down, Lord. Ease the pounding of my heart by the quieting of my mind. Steady my hurried pace with a vision of the eternal reach of time. Give me, amid the confusion of the day, the calmness of the everlasting hills. Break the tensions of my nerves, my muscles, with the soothing music of the singing streams that live in my memory. Help me to know the magical restoring power of sleep. Teach me the art of taking minute vacations, slowing down to look at a flower, to chat with a friend, or to pat your favorite dog or animal, and to read a few lines of the good book, we call it. Slow me down, Lord. Inspire me to send my roots deep into the soil of life's enduring values, that I may grow toward the stars of greater destiny. Me like that. So I'm speaking these words down to you today. I'm hoping they'll have a lot of power. And also, in the Bible, Isaiah 58 is considered to be the fasting chapter. So I like to read something that, if that's okay with you. Okay. All right. Is this not the fast that I have chosen? To loose the bonds of the wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke. Then your light shall break forth like the morning, your healing shall spring forth steadily, and your righteousness shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. You shall call the Lord, and He will answer you. You shall cry, and He will say, here I am. Okay. Did you enjoy that?
Yes. Amen.
Okay, good. Anybody have any questions so far? All right, and so when I moved, let me make sure I didn't leave anything out. Just a second here. I want to add one thing in. Okay, this is rather dramatic, even for myself. Okay, but I want to share it with you. Okay, and so I went through my own chemical sensitives journey, and was healed of that. So I'm kind of still going through that process. The journey is continuing. Say. But when I moved to Memphis, Tennessee, one of my cases that I had was this lady in town. She lived in a bubble because her chemical sensitivities were so extreme, she could not tolerate our environment that we live in here in Memphis. And so when she came out of her bubble to see me at my clinic, she wore an oxygen mask, and she rode the oxygen tank behind her to see me in my clinic. And then later on, her and her husband invited me over to her house so I can actually see the bubble that when she's in her house, that she lives inside that bubble. Okay. But during that process, over a short period of time, that she was able to go through these detoxification programs, that she was able to get her what we call load of toxins down in her body. We opened her pathways of elimination, and she was able to break free of the bubble and pack it up in the attic, and she was able to live free.
That's great. Wow.
And so one of the things that she was really thankful for is she was able to ride her bike in nature.
Wow.
That was something that she was really grateful for, during that process, able to do that again. And so when I bought my first house here in Memphis, these are some of the things that me and my family did to help because I had, this is kind of my stronghold to say, chemical exposure. So I had to somewhat protect my environment that I live in, and so we chose natural weed killers. If a weed was growing, we pull it up instead of spraying something that's very toxic to our environment. So, because you spray it there, and then your kids walk, barefooted out in the yard, and you bring it to the house, and exposure continues to say. We stopped using all bug killers. Okay, we use diatomaceous earth and boric acid. We put this on the outer perimeters of our house. Any problematic areas with ants, things like that. We pour that all over the ants that were entering in. Okay, and also we poured this in our baseboards all around the interior of our house at the same time. We had hardwood that was glued down in our house. We poured it all up. We put marble tile. And also we floated a special type of non-toxic flooring, kind of like this right here, it's a little bit higher quality. We floated it so there's no glue in our house. We repainted the whole interior of our house using no VOC paint, so no volatile chemical paint. That's the same thing we use on these walls here. We started eating as much as possible. We started using wild meats, animals that were either natural environmental food versus farm raised, to say, being fed, man-made food. Okay. We chose gluten-free grains like rice and quinoa. So we stopped eating, oats and wheat and flour, things like that, and gluten. We chose dairy alternatives, things like rice, coconut milk, hemp seed milk. One of our favorites that we'll be talking to you a little bit later is one by a company called Nature's Forest. It comes in a can called Simple. It has no additives and no gums and no sugars or sweeteners in it, so it's very clean. So it's a great alternative milk to use. Also, we chose non-toxic cleaning supplies for our flooring, our cabinets, and things like that. And then also, we looked at our bathing supplies. Okay, we chose totally different shampoos that were non-toxic, and we have some out here that are paraben-free, and it tells you all the other chemicals it's free of. And also our soaps, so we're using more natural soaps in our body. And so that's some of the ways we've decreased that. And this one is also one other thing that was dramatic is I noticed in my fast that my body odor started going away. I had no more body odor. Okay, and since then I haven't used deodorant. I'll just be honest with you. Over 15 years I haven't used any deodorant. But in the early years, that first year was kind of tough, and so I did use some essential oils to mask the smell, the odor, the waste. And so one of the reasons why that's important is we have a huge lymphatic detox organ, and then we have a lot of lymph nodes here, and so it traps waste in our body to these little filters called lymph nodes. We have an abundant amount of these under our arm. And so what happens is the danger of this, if we use a type of deodorant that stops that lymphatic drainage, then all those toxins move right into our breast area. So our breasts become very, very toxic, and our tissues become very toxic. So that's why it's very important to use essential oil. There's some other good healthy deodorants out there instead of using some of the other ones that are very harmful to our health. We started a our house is an odor house, and we could not find a main on our house to put in a water filtration system. So we had to put a water filter on every sink in our whole house. Okay, so we want to filter all of our water. Okay, so we microfilter our water, and then we filter it another time again through microfiltering, we'll call it, in our drinking water. Okay, then also we put a special shower filter, and then also a filter in front of our hot water heaters So we had total clean water that we were exposed to. And so that's some of the things that we did. We did some other things, but that's the primary things. Okay. And so I was talking to my wife last night about things I should add in our seminar today. And one of the things she told me is you need to tell them some of the benefits of fasting. You know, some of the expectations, some of the benefits. And so from our fasting that we'll be teaching with today, this is some of the things that people usually experience. And I would say it's a high majority, okay, it's not, you know, the few, is they would usually experience increased brain clarity and less brain fog. Their fatigue would be reduced to the fast. Their skin appearance will be more youthful by clearing toxins. Okay. Their body odor will become less, start decreasing. And I would expect everyone to start expelling pounds of fecal matter toxins from their bowel. Okay. Sugar cravings disappear. That was a big one for me. I was at a breakdown of my first fast. And then also they would have less water retention to the fast. And they have a lighter, more youthful feeling about their life. Reduction of pain and inflammation throughout their body. Less headaches. Less allergies by lowering the histamines because we're not eating any histamine foods. And also the reduction of heavy metals. Okay. So this is some of the expectations that we would have. Any questions on that?
You said you don't eat any oats, but do you eat gluten-free oats?
Yeah, so what we found out is that there's a lot of cross-reactivity between different grains. And maybe some people can tolerate it, but I'm extra conservative, and so we don't use any oats through our program. I know they're really high fiber content, but at the same time, we have different labs tests. I'll be going to that with you, and they're always showing up there, and so that's why I just I want to be able to help people as much as possible, and so I just have a blanket. We try to do rice and quinoa, things like that. It's the safest ones.
And regarding this mass that you expelled, if you had a colonoscopy in the past, would you still expect to have masses, 17 pounds of fecal matter coming out during this procedure?
You're talking about the fast I'm going to be teaching to you?
Yes.
If you go through the intensive portion, yes, I would expect that.
You would still expect a great deal.
Because it didn't affect the small intestine. You got 32 foot of small intestines, 7 foot of large intestines. So what's that, 39 feet? Yeah, that's a lot.
Okay. Because I was thinking that would have taken care of everything.
You would have thought, but
No.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you would have thought. And so one of our questions is why detoxify? You know, why do you need to go through a detox program? You know, and so if you listen to the slideshow presentation that we sent to you, you can see on there that it's not a question is if we're toxic or not. You know, it's how toxic are we? Okay. And so there were some studies done, and this was kind of a while back actually. I've been using it for a long time. This is actually in 2004. I've been using this, so I'm sure it's kind of quite a bit more dramatic than it is now. But actually, they did a study and they analyzed babies being born in our country. And so I fear that's that's the start. And it's going to get worse from there, is the way I look at it, you know. But so they analyzed some of the chemicals being fed to the umbilical cord. Okay. So they took a sample of the umbilical cord and they analyzed what's in that umbilical cord, what kind of toxins. So what they determined is 180 of the 287 known chemicals that cause cancer in humans were positive in those babies. Okay. 217 are toxic to the brain and nervous system that were found, and 208 shown to cause birth defects and abnormal development in animal tests. And so I'll email this to you, but it's quite the list of the toxins that we're being exposed to in our life. And it goes on and on because I'm just going to kind of just do a blanket study, okay? I mean, I'm going to kind of do a blanket of what you're exposed to. You walk out of this building and there's people driving in the car, you're breathing in the waste products from the byproducts from the exhaust in the cars. Okay, that's a toxic to the human body. Okay, you walk in your favorite grocery store and they just clean the floor, and I promise you they probably didn't use a non-toxic cleaner as you're breathing that through your lungs. And when it gets into lungs, it gets into the tissue. Okay, at the same time, you'll lay down in your mattress, and probably if you don't have an organic mattress, like mine, I special ordered it and had it made from scratch. And make sure they didn't have any flame retardants in there, and they were required to do that in the States. I had to bring it from an international country. That you got flame retardants, and it's a toxic treatment. Okay, and if you don't have organic sheets on your bed, then you have more exposure. And so, kind of the list goes on. It's kind of abundant. So the toxicity just keeps building up, and also, like the chemicals we spray our yard with, a lot of your neighbors and things like that may use that type of method that we're breathing that into our tissues at the same time. So we do have a slideshow that really shows this, and so I want to talk to you about, there's different options available to you. I want to talk to you about different options to really analyze your toxicity level. And because this is kind of one of my strongholds in the past, I've tried to do a lot of extensive testing on myself and other people. Let's see if I can find it here. There we go. Good. And so we have a new test that I've been doing here, and it's called it's not very expensive. It's called total toxic burden analysis. Okay, total toxic burden analysis. So what we're doing we give you a chelated agent for 2 days, and then you collect your first urine. So it's real easy to do, and you do this in your home. And basically what we're doing is we're analyzing heavy metals like aluminum, mercury, different metals like that. We're looking at mycotoxins that you may have been exposed by, maybe a milk that was bad, or contaminated food products, or maybe walked into a friend's house that had a lot of mildew in it. So we test for mycotoxins, and also chemicals, additives, forming chemicals, glycosates, fertilizers, all kinds of different types of chemicals. We look at see what level of toxicity that you have from these in your body. So it's an option for you. Okay. Another type of test that we do is we call a GI map. We're looking at different types of defects in the microbiome. I'm going to go through that real briefly to you, what that looks like. And so I have two different people on my chart here. I have a person on my right and a person on my left here. And this right here represents a person we don't really see very much anymore. We may see one, maybe two. They usually grew up on a very rural community. And they don't really have a lot of access to doctors in their community. So they really kind of had a midwife when the child was born, and they have cattle, sheep, goats, and they have chickens, and they have their own garden. So they pretty much eat off their own land. And then when the child is born, the first thing they do is they breastfeed it for up to 3 years, okay, a long period of time. And so what that does, it builds up really healthy defense, because they get the mom's colostrum, which is immune peptides that build up a healthy defense in the GI tract. Tissues are tight, pink, very nourished. And you can see this is like your defense, your army protecting that GI. But as it's protecting the GI, it's also protecting your brain, and your heart muscle, and other organs of your body, and your nervous system. But you can see the invaders are trying to come in, but you got an army in defense. It's a really strong army. Okay. Now on this side, this is my average community, and also represents me as a small child, because I was not breastfed. Okay. And so I've been trying to get my immunity and my GI ever since. Okay. And my last test I did back in December, I was very impressed. I have really good, healthy GI immunity now, which is awesome. And so what this represents is a person who may or may not have been breastfed, okay, but they all received an antibiotic in the first 3 years of their life, okay. And the earlier in life you destroy the immunity, the harder it is to get it back later in life, okay. But the good news is we have a solution to get it back, an effective program that will restore good health in the body. And because the maybe antibiotics or other things, your exposures in life, or maybe your mom was taking an antibiotic while you were born, different things can happen like that, maybe you don't have any good healthy defense there. And so then you have the bad guys like yeast, you may have heard those guys, candida, bacteria, could be pathogens, could be parasites, could be worms. Those type of things will tend to occupy that, something has to occupy that space. And so they come in with a force and they start occupying this space, and they become really happy there in their environment that they're living in. And they start having children, and then their children has children, and they develop a big happy family there. Okay, and they also they tell you what they want to eat. Okay, it's like they have a voice. Okay, and they tell you, I want more chocolate. I want more candy. I want more sweets. Okay, they'll talk to you. And they'll tell you what they want to eat.
Voice before.
Yeah, okay. And so we have a test that basically just poop in this tray and sent to the lab, and they'll analyze it. Okay. And so what they're doing is they're analyzing what is growing in that GI tract. Is it good things, bad things, whatever it is. Then we can pinpoint it based upon those species of overgrowth. Then we can pinpoint different types of remedies to eradicate it and kill it off in a non-toxic approach. Okay. And then we'll check gut health immunity, from there. If it was destroyed at birth, or maybe you didn't get it at birth. We'll look at that and look at digestion. But also we'll look at what we call the barrier, intestinal barrier. And so think about the barrier is your protection of the heart and the brain. And so if it starts, the intestinal aluminum starts to have, will start breaking open. Then you have toxins leaking through. We call this leaky gut syndrome. You may have heard of that. Then those undigested food particles, the bacteria, the yeast, the mycotoxins start leaking through. Then they start bombarding the brain, and the heart muscle, and the nervous system, and that affects your quality of life. And so definitely we can seal up that barrier, as soon as possible if that's a problem with you. Okay. And this is something that I see often in our clinic, maybe too often. Okay. And I feel like it's one of my missions in life to heal my community. And so this is a good place to start right here with it's called a GI map or stool analysis test. And then another test that's good is their studies show, and then we confirm those in our clinic, and they are positive, okay, that by a time a person turns 60 years old, they've already lost half their muscle mass, and they've doubled or more of their fat mass, okay? And that could be a problem because that's where the toxins are stored at inside those fat cells, okay? So as you go through this fasting program, you will lose fat to this fasting program, which is a good thing. But what happens is because we're losing fat, we're burning fat, it's going to unleash those toxins that are stored in that fat. So that's why it's really important to add some biobotanicals and some different types of nutrition products I'll be talking about to really open up those pathways of elimination. Okay. So part of our fast, what we're doing is we are, think about it, do you have a clogged drain? Okay. All right. And so if your drain is clogged up, then the toxins can't get out. Okay. And they get jammed up. So during the presentation I sent you last night, they talked about, I'm going to try to bring some clarity into that. They showed a picture of a liver, okay? And the liver is one of our primary detox organs that helps to purify and clean up the blood of our body. And so it goes through different stages of what we call filters. Think about it as filters. They have phase one, which is a large particle size filter, and it starts to filter the blood, okay? And then once that passes through, it goes into a microfilter, a really small filter, okay, to help really purify that. And so what happens is, it's really because of our toxicity in our bodies and the toxic overload in our community that we're exposed to, that our phase two gets jammed up or congested very easily. So what you have is you have phase one passing through very rapidly, okay, but then phase two is blocked, jammed, dammed, or congested. And so then the toxins reabsorb back into our tissues, okay? And then you may not notice for a while, but then you may experience what I experienced is I hit a tipping point in my life, okay? Where my quality of life started diminishing very rapidly, okay? but we can restore that. But so we have different tests available to help. It measures these different toxic levels in your body for that. And so this is a very a simple step I'm going to be teaching today. Okay. I'm going to take a break just for a second. Anybody have any questions on that? I know I'm asked presently right now. You know, we've already started. Okay. And so this is some also my church that I attend now is also going through a fast. Okay. So they're going through our church is going through a 21-day fast. And so we're reading this book together here, okay? And it's like a journal. This is the journal, but also you can get the book. But it talks about, it's a different reading to help prepare you spiritually for every day through your fast. It's really good, okay? So I'm really enjoying reading this right here. And this is not the only book. There's some really, really good books out there that I didn't bring with me, but it's just one that we're going through presently, okay? And this is, if you like the old timer, I really enjoy wisdom from the old timers. And Paul Bragg's a great book to me. I do have some patients that they have been diagnosed with cancer, and they're really praying for a breakthrough. And they have some tumors in their body. We had high expectations of those tumors starting to dissolve and break loose and totally dissolve and go away, just like kind of my friend did when, back in the 90s when he had a 3.5-inch tumor in his brain through no chemotherapy agents. Actually, it was two stories to that. Okay. I had a friend that I grew up with as a small child. He had a brain tumor. And at the same time, I met another guy and became really good friends with him. And he had a brain tumor also. It's kind of amazing. But my first friend, he was in the medical profession. His family was in the medical profession. And it was a natural step for him to have surgery after surgery and radiation after radiation. And for some reason, it just kept coming back. Every time his cancer would come back, it'd just be a lot more aggressive, you know. And after a really tough year of battling that, he had it when he was in his teens, actually, when it first arrived. And then about 10 years later, it came back with a vengeance. And then he fought it for another whole year before he died. And my other best friend, he had a 3.5-inch brain tumor, but it was an area of his brain that they felt like it would really paralyze him. And then it would have not much hope if they tried that process. It's very risky at that time. And so they actually gave him 6 months to live. Okay, they told him to just go home. He had a small child, a wife. Spend some time with your family, and you'll get your finances in order. And so he left there, and he was very depressed. Felt very sad. Okay. And then myself and a couple other leaders in the community, we gathered around him, started supporting him, encouraging him, and to never stop looking and never give up on hope. And he found an herbalist just outside of Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Actually lived on a farm in a community. Okay. And so I went up there for his visits with him. I was in my learning part of my journey at that time. And this guy would sometimes come out with a lantern, you know, an easy detox, okay? And it's a very effective. It's got over 20 years of research, okay? And it's one I've been really enjoying doing myself. And I actually been doing this for 20 years, this same program right here. I never stopped for 20 years. You know, my toxicity was a little bit different than most, maybe a little bit more much higher level. So that's what worked for me. And so the way it works is this is really easy. All you do is make this shake here, okay? And we're going to give you the opportunity to have one today if you like, okay? Sherry's going to have one made for you. And so it's drinking a protein shake twice a day. And then taking a booster. Think of a booster like, have you ever had clothing that a stain come out of your shirt you just couldn't get out with your normal laundry detergent, and you had to spray something on it as a booster to get the stain out? Mm-hmm. Think about that's what this product here. It actually doubles the detox power of the shake, okay, during your detox time. This is safe to do long term, okay. But then at our times when we're fasting, we call it 28 days, then we add a aftercare to it as our booster to our detox, okay. And so this is really important because this all comes in a kit form for you, It's all laid out, step by step. So you got ultra clear veneer as your protein shake. We're going to talk to you about how to make it and share some real good recipes to make it taste good. Then we got Avoclear. Okay. Also, it comes with a 28-day guidebook. This is an incredible guidebook here. It tells you on, it goes by weeks. On week 1, what foods to start eliminating. Okay. On week 2, what foods to eliminate, and then it breaks it down week by week, 4 weeks. Okay. So on one of those weeks, in several weeks, you may only eat fish, to say, like wild-caught fish. Okay, it's the only protein, but you have a lot of good, healthy vegetables that they'll walk you through. They have a shopping list that tells you what vegetables to be on. We call those core fruits and core vegetables to be on during the fast. So it's a really easy journey. Also, what's nice about this, it's safe for everyone to be on this type of fast. Your children, your husband, everyone is very safe for everyone in our community to be on what we call a simple fast. Okay, and so we have it in a kit. It looks like this, a box right there. It's called Clear Change. We have a 28-day, and then we also have a 10-day. Okay, and in this kit, it has everything that you'll need to begin your journey on your fast. Okay, it's easy to do. Okay, and it's very effective. Okay, and then and so there's different. So that is actually the simple fast. It's easy. Order the kit. We're going to give you a link where you can get if you're a new patient to us or a new client, to say. Okay, we'll give you a code. You can follow that link, and it's got a discount coupon embedded in that code. Okay, and then when you go to checkout, you automatically get 20% off that product. So I'm trying to help you out. Okay, we coordinate this with our manufacturer. They agreed to do this. We tell them what we're doing here in our community, and they were someone to support us 100%. Okay, and for people who may be already patients, already clients, we have another program. You know what that is, Kelsey? What's our other program?
Oh, our New Year Better Me.
Yeah.
Our New Year Better Me 28-day group detox. It's a little bit different than that one, and he's going to explain that now, I think.
Okay. Yeah, but also we have a code, right? Do they have to give the code, or is it automatic? Already embedded into the website?
If they have not purchased on Metagenics before through us, they will need to use this code at checkout.
Okay. Do you know what the name of it is?
IWRC Detox.
Yeah. So we're going to send you a code, okay? And you can use this code on Metagenics' website, we call it. It's a manufacturer that's supporting us through this program, and they're the ones that's done the research on this. So they actually have a research clinic in Gig Harbor, Washington. Okay, and the way it works is they they bring clients and patients in here for free of charge, and they're analyzing their toxicity levels, all these tests we just talked about, and then they'll go through this detox program with them. Then they analyze the toxicity after the detox, and they'll analyze what is being pulled out to their urine, during the process. And so they tweak the nutrients back and forth for years and years. Get it right to the sweet spot. Then they introduce the product to physicians, and then we introduce it to people like yourself. Okay. And so it's a highly researched and highly effective program that is safe for everyone to do. Now, when you go to the guidebook, we always want you to start off slow, because it will start opening up those clogged drains. So when you start on this program, you start off like, it's going to tell you this in the guidebook, 1/2 of a scoop. Okay? Then you graduate to 1 scoop. Then you graduate to 2 scoops. Then you're doing that 2 scoops 2 times a day. Then sometimes 3 times a day. It's going to walk you through that process. Okay? On this program here, on the simple program, you should never be hungry. Okay? We got solutions for you. If you get hungry, we want you to eat. Okay? We don't want you to starve. We want you to always eat if you get hungry. Okay? So it walks you through that process. It's got recipes in the guidebooks. It's got menu plans. It makes it very, very easy to do for everyone. Okay? And so, can someone bring the piccata for me? Right. And so, this simple detox program is based upon opening up what we call those filters of the liver, the primary filters of the liver. Okay? That's great. Okay. And so people like myself, when I started, I had a much higher toxicity score. Okay, and so what happened was I was snow skiing, okay, and I wanted to try snowboarding. Okay, and so I was hitting the jumps fine. It's no big deal. But then I was going from one slope to another, and I was just, I was in a cruising mode. I was just cruising on my snowboard, just cruising, adjusting my goggles and things like that. Looking around, And all of a sudden, I wasn't looking where I was going, and I hit this like a little ditch, and my whole body flew straight up in the air, and I landed right on my back. And so what happened was I went into the spa, and I felt like I needed a massage, right? Some kind of massage to try to help my pain in my back. And so I landed on this massage. It's called a hot rock massage. And so what they did is they put these hot stones. They put oil all over my back. Okay. Then they put these hot stones all over my back. Okay. And then let the hot stones heat up my body, my tissues. And heat acts as a muscle relaxer to the soft tissues and muscles of the body. And so we did this for, I don't know, about 45 minutes, the massage lasted. Then they took the hot stones and they would massage me with the hot stones. Just kind of neat, neat experience, feeling that hot rock moving throughout your body. Then at the very end, a surprise happened to me. What this lady done, what she did, she took an ice cold rock out of the freezer.
Oh.
And she put a hot rock and an ice cold rock side by side, and then she moved and massaged me like that way. Okay, and it actually started breaking up. So all the chemical toxins while I was in the manufacturing industry, the farming chemicals, everything exploded, and my whole body was covered in a rash.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I tried everything, all my remedies. I tried everything, and nothing. My rash, I couldn't get it to go away. And I didn't want to take steroids. I just wasn't in the equation. I was trying everything. There's got to be a better way, And so I found this product here from our German friends across the water, and it's a very gentle program. So what the difference is our simple program focused on the liver. This one here is what we call full body, okay? And so think about it. You have 3 times more what we call lymph fluid in the body than you do blood, okay? And that lymph fluid flows where the blood doesn't flow to clean up the tissues. And of course it filters through different lymph nodes in our body. And so this has a lymphatic detoxifier in it. Okay? Open the box here. It's got 3 vials. It's all liquid. And it's called Itaris. And this is our lymphatic drainage product. Then we have another one that's called Apiohedact. It's for the liver and the gallbladder. Then we have another one. It's called Retinix. It's for the kidney and the bladder. Okay. And so this is a very easy. It's liquid. You put in 6 ounces of water. You just drink the water. There's really no taste to it. It's a really easy detox. And so what I'm doing is I'm consuming this right here in addition to the simple. I'm just getting a little bit more aggressive, but still easy to do. And I think it's affordable for most people. And so when you read the bottle, it says mix 15 drops of each vial in a glass of water. Just mix everything together and drink. Okay. You could start off at a lower dose, maybe 1 to 5 drops, kind of taper up if you wanted to. Or you could just, if you had a really high toxicity score, that's probably what I would do. Start out low and just titrate up over 10 to 15 days. But this is an option here also. Okay. So one more thing we can add to make our detox more successful, if you have a higher toxicity score, to get the score down. Our goal is to make a tremendous impact over 30 days. Okay. And then we're going to be offering, so now we kind of separate the simple from the intensive part. Okay. And so the intensive now kind of goes down a different direction. Okay. So now what the intensive includes is now we're going to be focusing on the microbiome we talked about. Now we've probably eaten a little bit more sweets than normal over the holidays. Okay. Some of you I know are really awesome cooks, and you have some incredible pies that you may have fixed or sweets, okay? And I could never tell anybody not to eat that. I mean, I'm sure it was incredibly delicious, you know what I mean? But now the holiday's over, okay? We can look at our detox, and some of the bacteria that we were talking about, and who's maybe could have been dining with you over the years, okay? Maybe they gave birth to a few more bacteria during that process, and now it's time to open the gate and tell them that they're not welcome here anymore. Time to leave. And so how we do this is we use what we call, for the bacteria, we use simple things like antibacterial agents. Okay, easy. And so the name of the product would be Candibactin BR. BR stands for berberine herbs or say bacteria. Okay. And say we have some white stuff here, maybe Candida yeast, and they really love sugar. They really do. And that's the ones that primarily we see a lot of people with like brain fog. It really makes a tremendous difference by getting that load down. So we use what we call antifungal, anti-candida agents. Pretty simple to help kill off the yeast and the bacteria. And that's called Candibactin AR. So it's pretty simple. Okay. And so then we move into a different diet. You'll get a printout of this. And it's called Anti-Candida Phase 1. And it's designed to eliminate all grains and all fruits and just focus on non-starchy vegetables, good healthy proteins, clean proteins, of course, hormone antibiotic free, and then we'll use good healthy anti-inflammatory oils, which is our good healthy fats in our body. So that's what we focus on, meat, oils, non-starchy vegetables. That's called anti-candida phase 1. And our goal is to reduce the carbs down to about 50 carbs a day. Okay, and what that's going to do is, number one, it's going to cut off the fuel supply to these bacteria and yeast type of bugs in our body. And it's about cutting off the fuel supply. Then we'll give it some other remedies to help kill them off too. Chase them out of town, say. Okay. So that's one part. Okay, that's one added intensity. Okay. Another level of intensity is, say, you're having trouble with digesting food. Okay, your system is very sensitive. Maybe you have a lot of gas, maybe bloating a lot. Okay, then we have a different diet with vegetables that are very easy to digest. Okay, and that diet is called SIBO phase 1 or SIBO phase 1. Okay, easy to digest vegetables. Okay, at the same time we're still lowering the carbs down to eradicate. And so that's the difference between simple and intensive. Okay, intensive has a little bit different diet approach. We're adding on some products to help balance the microbiome of our health. And also we're accelerating our detoxability by going to more of a full body detox versus a simple focusing more on the liver.